Hey everyone, welcome back to TK's Tech Talk. Today I'm going to be installing this Thermalright AXP90-X53 full copper cooler into the ASrock Deskmeet x600 powered by this Ryzen 5 9600X CPU. I've already built this PC with this processor, and I have another video which is going to cover the build and do some benchmarking with the Wraith Spire cooler here you can see on the left. I plan to do some comparison. There's already some benchmarking information which will be available with different modes I use from the BIOS for power settings and temperature settings and undervolting with the Wraith Spire cooler. And just so you have an idea, it was running at 91 degrees approximately for the package temperature when running the BIOS in auto mode. Ended up seeing similar performance by restricting the BIOS to 85 degrees and using PBO with a minus 20 millivolt undervolt. So that's what we're going to be using to test initially both of the coolers to see how they compare. But let me first unbox the Thermalright cooler, and then we'll remove the Wraith Spire cooler and see what the thermal paste spread was like. And then we'll install the Thermalright cooler and do some benchmarking. Okay, so I thought it might be easier to go through the numbers for those of you who don't want to sit and watch the whole video and try and pick the numbers out, because it is very difficult. I did the same thing myself to make this information. So just to quickly go over these numbers. The room temperature was around 22 Celsius throughout the tests. And then in the BIOS, I have an 85C limit with PBO and a minus 20 millivolt undervolt. So here in the first column, we have the results for the AMD Wraith Spire. Then we have the Thermalright AXP53, and the difference measured in Celsius and watts, or in a percentage. So let's start with the Cinebench results. So I use Cinebench 2024 for the benchmark, and we have a score of 860 points with the Wraith Spire and 921 points for the Thermalright AXP90-X53. So that's about a 7% overall win for the Thermalright in the Cinebench score, and 7% is a measurable gain, so that's quite a good result. Okay, moving over to the package temperatures. So we have the minimum package temperature for the Wraith at 49.4 and the minimum core temperature at 37.6, with the Thermalright 46.8 and 33.7. So in both cases, we're around 4 degrees cooler, which is 5 to 10% depending on the number we're looking at. And then during the Cinebench run, the maximum package temperature for the Wraith Spire with these settings is 86.5 and 86.3. So this is more or less negligible, and this is around the same. The maximum core temperature has similar situation during the run. It's less than a 1 degree delta, so left as error of margin and didn't mark it as a win or loss for either. The maximum power draw, however, I've put a star here because I've put here that the 115 watts lower power is kind of a win because we achieve a higher score with the less power draw. And also at the end we maintain a higher power draw, which probably helps us keep that higher score as well. So the difference in the maximum power draw is only 1.6%, so again within error of margin, but it's a slight victory for the Thermalright. And then for the end power draw, it's quite a big difference of 6%, so it's able to maintain a higher power draw throughout the run. In terms of the CPU speed, at the end of the run, we were at around 5.1 gigahertz, which allows a 2% increase of 0.1 gigahertz. So we can see from this that the Thermalright is definitely performing slightly better than the Wraith Spire, and it's a smaller cooler. It will allow us to use the original power supply. I'll try and do another video on that if I can, to compare how it is with the original power supply, which has a reversed fan, in comparison to the SF750 that I use. Maybe I'll reverse that fan as well, and we can get a fair comparison on that. Okay, so I hope that summary helps, and we can carry on with the video now. Okay, so let's start by unboxing the Thermalright AXP90-X53 full copper cooler, see what we get inside the box. So first we have the retention bracket, which can be used for AMD and Intel. So I believe this is the AMD side and this is the Intel side. We have an instruction manual. We have the cooler itself. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And we have a small box which probably contains the screws and the mounting brackets. Some thermal paste and some screws. So let's have a quick look at the cooler itself. It's an interesting design and color. It's got this thin fan, full copper as we can see. It looks quite nice. It's got 4 heat pipes by the look of it. And we have the LGA 1700 brackets installed from factory, so we'd have to remove that. And we have a 4-pin PWM fan connector. So as the name suggests, this is a 53mm cooler including the fan, and there is a 47mm one available as well. You can also replace this fan. It's a 92mm fan. It might be interesting to try and use a 25mm fan to see how that helps the performance. So maybe we can try something like a Noctua. If I get my hands on one, I'll try it with that as well. Okay, so I've got all the screws and brackets out here, and to install this in an AMD platform, we need to remove the LGA 1700 bracket and install the AMD one, which is this one here. AM4 and AM5 can use the same bracket. So let me take these out and put these in. Okay, so we'll start by removing the peel so we can access the screws. Let's remove one of them first. Now in the instruction manual, I don't see which way around it's supposed to go, but it looks like this was installed with the square logo there, you can see, facing down like that. So we'd have to do the same for this. We'd have to have the logo facing down like this. So it might be a little bit tricky to get this on. Let's see if we can hold it in place and get at least one screw in. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And let me get the other side in as well, and I'll be back. Okay, the AM4 bracket is now on, and then we have these 4 screws which we need to put into these holes. There are 4 long ones and there's 4 shorter ones inside this packet. So I'm not sure exactly which ones we need to use. It's not very clear from the manual. But if we end up using the back plate on top of the CPU frame as well, we might need to use the longer ones for the clearance. And if we use it without it, assuming it will fit, we can use the shorter ones. So let me put the longer ones in for now, and then we'll see what needs to be done when we try and install the CPU. So we literally just put it in like that, tighten as far as you can with your hand, and do the same for all 4. So all 4 screws are now in. Let me get the computer and we can try and put it in. Okay, so I've got the Deskmeet x600 open, and if you haven't seen the build video, this is how it looks when it's assembled inside, and there's a Wraith Spire cooler there at the bottom. I'm just going to turn this to the side so you can actually see the clearance for the fan and the SFX PSU. I think you can probably just about see there. We've got enough space to put my finger in between that. If I remember correctly, the Wraith Spire sits at around 71mm, so the Thermalright is 53, so we should have a bit of extra clearance, and we can even use the standard power supply with the Thermalright cooler. Okay, so let me get the power supply out the way. We can remove the cooler and see what the paste looks like from the previous application. Before I remove the AMD Wraith Spire cooler, this is how the PC looks with the cooler installed. Okay, so the cooler is removed and you can see the paste spread is fairly even. And let me just get the cooler as well, and you can see this is how it looks on the cooler. Thankfully, looks like didn't get too messy in there. So let me clean this all up and we can carry on with the install. Okay, so we're now ready to install the Thermalright cooler, and the idea here is to thread these standoffs into the AMD mounting screws, which you can see just about here, and it should just slot in, and then we can screw it in from the other side. I'm going to try and do it without removing the motherboard from the tray. Okay, so we're now ready to install the Thermalright cooler, and the idea here is to thread these standoffs into the AMD mounting screws, which you can see just about here, and it should just slot in, and then we can screw it in from the other side. I'm going to try and do it without removing the motherboard from the tray. For the thermal paste, we'll be using the Arctic MX4. It's the same one I use with the Wraith Spire, so it'll be fair testing to use this one, so I won't be using the one that came included with the cooler. So I'm going to try and apply a similar amount of thermal paste as I did when I did the build, and that was just a blob in the middle. So I'm going to try and do that now. It's not obviously not going to be exactly the same, but hopefully it will be comparable. I think that should be enough. Just realize it's not dead centered. Let's hope it still spreads okay. So we're going to put the Thermalright cooler in now. We're just going to thread it in, and hopefully it will just slide in. There we go. There's a bit of a fiddle, but it's in. Now for the fun part, let's try and turn this over without removing it. Almost dropped the camera there. Okay, and we can see all of the standoffs. I'm just going to put all the screws in by hand first, and then we'll see if we can use that tool that came with these screws to get them in. Let me get this all screwed in. Okay, now we're going to use this nut that came with it. It should just slide on Looks like we don't have enough clearance, but I think we can just about turn it enough. There we go. Looks like that's working. Yeah, let's get them all in and I'll be back. So on some of the corners, it was actually catching onto the main CPU backplate. So what I've done is I've attached the AM4 bracket that came with it. You can see the AM4 there, so this side needs to be up. And now we have easy access to the screws and much easier to screw in. So let me get these all screwed in tightly and then we'll carry on. So I've tightened all the screws by hand as far as I can get them, and I'm just going to put everything back together and turn it on. Before I put the power supply in, thought I'd just give you a look at the cooler, see how it looks inside. It looks very neat, it's not very high at all, and it's a very good size. Okay, so the power supply is back in, and this is how it looks. You can just about see the fan there. See if we can get a slight look from the side. Plenty of clearance there between the power supply and the fan. Okay, so to start off and get some sort of baseline, I'm going to be running the benchmarks with the Wraith Spire cooler. The settings I'm using in the BIOS are PBO, TJ Max 85C and Curve Optimizer at minus 20 millivolts. And I saw that this was giving similar results to the auto setting, but the auto setting was limited to 88 watts for the power and was giving around 91C. And with 85 degrees, we got similar results in Cinebench 2024. So I'm going to use that test. We're going to run the full test in Cinebench. So let me restart the PC and let's do that. Okay, I've started the PC up, got Cinebench 2024 and hardware monitor running. At the moment, the CPU package is around 51C with the cores sitting at around 40C. So I'm going to start this test now and we're going to see what sort of score we get and what sort of temperatures we end on. Be right back. Okay, we're coming up to the 1 minute mark. We've already hit the 85 degrees and I'm just going to put my microphone up to the PC so we can have some sort of sound test. So it's not going to be the most scientific comparison. I don't have anything to measure the sound, but you heard the fan there and we'll check it when we put in the Thermalright fan. Okay, so as the second pass is coming to an end, which will be the final pass, just want to go over a few things that I've seen here. We've got a current temperature of around 86 degrees for the package temperature, and we had a maximum of 88.9 on the CCD. In addition to this, we had a package power draw consistently sitting around 80 watts, and the cores were running around 5 to 5.1 gigahertz throughout the test so far. And we're sitting on a score of around 853, which puts us just above the 5800X. So let it complete and we can take a screenshot to compare with the Thermalright cooler. Okay, the test has come to an end and we have finished on a score of 860, and the temperatures and everything else are more or less what we just discussed. So let's move on to the Thermalright testing. Okay, so we are back up and running, and so far everything looks very good. I've got Cinebench open here and I've got a hardware monitor open here. And right now, it seems like it's very quiet and the temperatures at idle at least seem lower already. We can see a maximum of 65 there. So let's start this up and see how it differs. The BIOS settings are still the same, it's still 85 degree maximum with PBO and a curve optimizer of minus 20 millivolts. And the fan profile, if I remember correctly, is set to silent. So we can hear the fan ramping up now. We're hitting around 80 degrees, getting up close to that maximum. And I'll let it run for a few minutes and then we can listen to the fan to see how it sounds compared to the Wraith Spire. Right now the fan's sitting at 2500 RPM. On the Wraith Spire it was between 3300 and 3500. So it definitely sounds a lot quieter. So let's see how we get on. So a couple of quick observations after around 2.5 minutes. I can see the process is running at 5.2 to 5.3 gigahertz as opposed to 5 and 5.1, and we can see a package draw of 100 watts. So it looks like this cooler is definitely more capable. The fan speed has reached around 2600. The temperature, we've hit that limit that we set, and the maximum on the CCD is 87.6. So far it's looking better, but let's see how it goes to the end. So some interesting notes after the first pass. We're at 936 points. The fan did hit 2700 RPMs. The clock speed has gone down slightly to 5.1 to 5.2 gigahertz, and the package power has also reduced to around 85 to 90 watts. But during the unboxing, I forgot to go over the specs that are stated on the box. The box shows that this fan can run at 2700 RPM, and on the other side it shows a TDP of 155 watts. Right now the fan is running at 2727 and it maxed at 2749. So I forgot to show the orientation before. I'm running it in landscape mode, as you can call it, and let's just put the microphone to the case where I did before, here on the side, to see what the noise is like. Not very scientific, but it definitely sounds quieter than the Wraith Spire. Okay, and we've just come to the end of that run, and I just missed recording the end, but the CPU had come down to around 5.15 gigahertz, and the package power came down to around 83. The score did finish at 921. That's a full 60 points higher, so around 7 to 8% faster than the Wraith Spire. So this is definitely a very good cooler. Overall, this 53mm all copper cooler definitely makes sense in a build like this, especially with a CPU like the 9600X, which is not very power hungry. Not sure how it will work on something like a 9800X 3D. If I get my hands on one of those, I definitely would be testing it. So overall, I'm happy with these results. It's definitely an improvement over the Wraith Spire. And let me just get a snap of this, and let's compare it to what we had on the Wraith Spire. Okay, so here's a quick comparison as to where we finished. So we hit 88.1 maximum on the CCD with the Thermalright cooler, and on the Wraith Spire 88.9. The package power was 68 watts at the end, and I don't have it here, but it was around 80 watts or 81 watts or something. So it definitely is able to hold the power a lot longer than the Wraith Spire. And the fan speed, you can see here, hit a maximum of 3619, and here we hit 2766. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. Of course, we can do more testing, but I think this is a good enough comparison to conclude the video and say that the Wraith Spire is definitely showing its age and not being as good as the Thermalright. Even though it's a lot bigger and has a much larger fan, the Thermalright has done an excellent job with this cooler, and it performs really well. It definitely would make sense for a build like the Deskmeet x600, maybe even the x300. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.